Malygos, the former aspect of the blue dragonflight, was one of the most intelligent and resourceful beings on Azeroth, capable of putting together dozens of thoughts in the time that it takes others to form even one. However, when the War of the Ancients began, and Neltharion began delving into madness, he persuaded Malygos to convince the other aspects and their dragonflights to offer up a portion of their power in order to create the Dragon Soul. When Deathwing later on revealed his madness and betrayed his fellow kin by using the weapon to decimate the other dragons, particularly the blue dragonflight, Malygos was consumed by grief, despair, and even guilt. Not only at the fact that it was his flight which had suffered devastating losses, but also because he himself had played a part in convincing the other dragons into forming the artifact. Thousands of years following the war, Malygos would be consumed by insanity. His once sharp mind had turned erratic and even dangerous. In World of Warcraft, we never really got to see the insane mind of Malygos, only that he wanted to wage war on magic wielders. But in a novel Day of the Dragon, when Krasus visits Malygos, we really get a sense of how unstable and insane the blue aspect truly was. Some of you may remember Malygos as having the humanoid form of an elf, but when he was truly insane, his humanoid form was actually not humanoid at all. He would transform into a creature that had the body of an insect. He would have an incomplete face and the legs of a human, although they were extremely skinny and had claws at the end and were bent into a position that were not possible. So skinny were the legs, as a matter of fact, that Krasus even compared them to ski poles. It was even mentioned in the book that Malygos was aware that he bore the grotesque form that he did, but for some reason he favored it over his original dragon form or his elven form, most likely because it reminds him so much of what he had lost in the ancient war. He also became very angry and unstable at the name of Deathwing or Neltharion. However batshit crazy Malygos seemed to be, there was one thing that he would never forget: Deathwing's betrayal, which crippled Malygos' flight. If Deathwing were the subject of the conversation, Malygos would be thrown into a frenzied state, repeating Deathwing's name and traitorous acts over and over and over again loudly, or even blasting ice out of his mouth in whatever direction that he so chooses. So, if you wanted to speak to Malygos about Deathwing during the state of his insanity, it would probably be best to lie prone or hide behind something, unless you want your ass to be turned into a popsicle. Krasus, however, not only mentioned Deathwing's name, but also summoned an image of the Dragon Soul and showed it to Malygos, who instantly began cringing, sobbing, and whimpering, begging for the image to disappear. But Krasus would not dismiss the image. He wanted to show Malygos the image because he believed that the Dragon Maw orcs now wielded it, making Malygos remember the atrocities of the war 10,000 years past. And Krasus noted while doing this how even though it was just an image of the demon soul and not the actual thing itself that he held, it still instilled so much fear into Malygos that it took him over a minute just to prepare himself to actually focus his vision and look on the image. When Krasus revealed to Malygos that Deathwing was still alive and planning to destroy the human kingdoms from the inside out, Malygos was thrown into another state of rage, incompletely transforming into his dragon self, while also maintaining his insect body. But his rage vanished as Malygos realized that he was not the only one who had lost everything due to Deathwing's traitorous acts. Krasus had also lost his queen, Alexstrasza. She had been captured after Deathwing led the Dragon Maw orcs to the location of the Demon Soul, and with the mighty weapon at their command, they subjugated the Great Aspect. Krasus now looked upon Malygos and told him that it was true. It was true that they both had lost much, but they did not lose everything. There was still a chance that they could save Alexstrasza, and if they did save Alexstrasza, then she could use her gifts as the Lifebinder to possibly grant Malygos a new dragonflight. At this, Malygos' sanity began to return, although not permanently and not all at once. He fully transformed into his great dragon appearance, all madness in his eyes dimming, and his insect physical attributes vanishing. Later on in the book, when it counted most, Malygos, thanks to the convincing of Krasus, would rejoin Ysera, Nostormu, and Alexstrasza, and together, they battled back Deathwing and foiled his plans. Even though Malygos may have taken many forms while he was insane, a withered elf with dagger-like nails which could dig into rocks, a human with awkward limbs and an incomplete face, or even an insect, there was one thing that he never forgot, sane or insane. I remember the promise. I recall the covenant, never death to another, the world guarded forever.